Hello and good afternoon to every one of you. I am Alviana Brewster, the owner of Black Nurse Entrepreneurs. We are the premier networking organization for any Black nurse out there that is interested in launching, building, and growing their entrepreneurial endeavors. I present to you today, B&E Presents This Trend, and we are here, episode 26. It's titled Employee to Entrepreneurship, Building a Business. And so I just want to listen, we have a new friend with us. She just joined our membership, so we have to give her a warm welcome and a round of applause, right? But let me tell you a little bit about her first. This is our new friend, Dr. Jessica Chung. Dr. Jessica was born in the great state of New York. She grew up in the city of Queens and spent many of her summers and holidays traveling and seeing patients with her grandmother, who also was a home care nurse. Determined to follow her grandmother's footsteps, Jessica attended NYC College of Technology and received her associate's degree in nursing in 2009 and graduated on the Dean's List of Academic Excellence. After graduation, she went on to work as a charge nurse for a nursing home and a nurse case manager for a home care agency, both in Brooklyn, New York. She received an opportunity to relocate to the sunny state of Florida in 2010 to work as an acute care hospital, within an acute care hospital. The year following, she obtained her BSN in nursing from Utica College. Jessica worked at various city hospitals, gained experience as a registered nurse in various clinical areas such as medical pre and post operative, ER, postpartum care. This girl has done it all. Wanting to further her education more, she obtained her master's in nursing from South University with a concentration of family nurse practitioner and was board certified by the American Academy of Nurse Practitioners. In 2018, she received her doctorate in nursing practice from Samford University. While there, she focused her research on patient education and medication adherence and developed an adherence therapy tool that can be used in various clinical settings to assess risk of medication non-adherence and methods to improve medication adherence to patient provider collaboration and education. In 2019, one of Jessica Chung's dreams came true when she opened up her own private practice called JC Healthcare and Associates in Tampa, Florida. She provides a wide variety of healthcare services to patients of all ages. She's an educator of nursing students, a researcher, a prolific speaker, a healthcare provider, business owner, and one that has a heart and passion for mentoring students of all academic levels in hopes of them obtaining higher education and professional success. She has been known to empathetically state that she does not look at the profession of being a healthcare provider as just a career, but a God-given gift and calling. Without further ado, I present to you the most fabulous Dr. Jessica Chung. So hang on a sec. I'm going to bring her on.
The
Hi,
most
sister.
fabulous.
Oh, yeah. That's how we do it around here in B&E. How are you
Thank you
today?
so much. I'm awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. So since you're new, I just want to, introduce the people to you. And so, you guys have seen her around, particular in the clubhouse streets and around social media, but she is here in the elite now with us. So I want to give you the time. I know I've gone through your bio, but I want to give you the opportunity to add your twist to it. Tell us a little bit about your nursing journey and what has gotten you to this point that you are today.
Well, it's interesting. My nursing journey has literally been from the bottom to the top. Like literally, I started out with my associate's degree in nursing. Just kind of along the way, just decided I was going to take each step. I was like, I definitely was going to go back to school, get my bachelor's degree. This was back at a time where associate's degree nursing wasn't frowned upon. It was very normal for a lot of registered nurses to work at high levels with their associate's degree. So this was before that time where bachelor's degree became like the mandatory thing. So definitely went back for my bachelor's and went back for my master's. I went into nursing because I wanted to be a nurse practitioner. That was like my dream. So I knew I had to take those steps. And so going into nursing was like a no-brainer for me. Once I found out about the nurse practitioner career and path, it was definitely something I wanted to do. Now, my doctorate is a different story. I did not even know that was something I was going to go after. I kind of had it in the back of my mind, but it wasn't something that I was making my main goal. But from my mentors and, the foundation I have, it was like, go for it all. Like the sky is the limit. And that's what I truly believe. So my nursing journey is a span of, gosh, like literally probably like from 2006 to 2018, growing and learning and experience as a nursing professional. So that's pretty much my twist on it. Now, entrepreneurship, that the Lord just dropped that on me. That was all God. So I'll let you, as we go along, I'll definitely answer any questions about that.
Perfect, perfect. So I want to know, why nurse practitioner specifically?
Okay, so it was specifically, I was having a conversation. It was when I was in college and I was talking to a classmate. I think we were in like biology lab or something. And he was talking to me and he was like, yeah, my mom's a nurse practitioner and, she does all these things. And I was like, what? Like, she doesn't have to be a doctor. She's a nurse practitioner and she could do all of that. And to me, that was amazing. I grew up with my grandmother being a nurse, but hearing about nurse practitioners, you just didn't hear a lot about the role. And so therefore, once I found out about it, I was like, I want to do that. That's the only way I can explain it. It was like something like lit up inside of me to go after that role, to be not only in nursing, but to be in the role of a provider, and to be in a role of an advocate for patients. So that's pretty much why I chose that specific route.
Gotcha. So your mentors and friends and everybody said, you should just go for the gusto and go ahead and do your
Yeah.
DNP.
And that is I think that's the great thing about having great
Yeah.
mentors, and people who believe in you, who see things in you that you don't even see in yourself. Because I was trying to lay low after I got my master's degree. I was like, I'm just going to work and save money, pay off debt. I'm done with school. And one of my mentors, he was like, no, you need to. He was like, Dr. Chung sounds really good. Yeah. So nonetheless, I immediately went for it, and here I am.
Fantastic. So, you touched on this entrepreneurship journey, and obviously that's what we do here in this group. If nothing else, I try my best to motivate our community to think outside of the box. There's a lot that we can do as nurses, but oftentimes we have these blinders on, thinking that all we can do is go work here and do this and that's it
Right.
and nothing else. We don't have any other options. But one thing I love about entrepreneurship is the ability to kind of create my own journey, create my own story. And it can still be in nursing all day and all night, but I'm getting to create those opportunities. What is one of the fun things that you enjoy about entrepreneurship yourself?
I have complete freedom and control over my schedule. I mean, if there's not anything that is probably more uh, appetizing about going into entrepreneurship, it's the fact that I am not on anyone's clock. I'm not clocking in. I'm not clocking out. No one's asking me, did I take lunch? No one's telling me I need to take lunch. I know that sounds crazy, but when you are at a certain level, especially a doctorally prepared or even a master's prepared nurse, and I mean, this is not directed or offense to anybody, but you have, registered nurses or someone who is at a lower degree level telling you or managing you, that really makes you want to put some fire under yourself and like, okay, you know what? There's a lot more I can be doing. There's a lot that I can be applying myself to do. So I would say that having complete and total freedom over my time, my schedule, creating multiple streams of income. There is no cap to when it comes to your income potential, being an entrepreneur. I know statistics like to say, well, nurse practitioners make between 100,000 and 120,000. And no. When you're an entrepreneur, all of those statistics, those income statistics that you see online, that goes out the door. That goes out the door. And so I think freedom of time, the ability to go after debt freedom, financial freedom, every type of freedom you can think about. Now, I will say on the flip side that you have to be very disciplined if you are going into entrepreneurship. I don't just wake up every day and just say, what am I going to do today? Like, no, I have a schedule, and my schedule is tight. Okay, it's because I created that way. Let me just be, but nonetheless, I still have a tight schedule, and there's deadlines I give myself. There's due dates I give myself. And so even though I create freedom for myself, I'm also very disciplined. And I've learned that along the way, in this journey of entrepreneurship.
What is the benefit, or how important is it for our community to see healthcare providers that look like us?
It's very important. And I will say that because growing up, even when I was, young, or even as a teenager, I don't remember how many times I've seen Black healthcare providers outside of my own grandmother, but just in general, Black healthcare professionals. I didn't see a lot. My own pediatrician was Filipino. I mean, she was a little Filipino lady, and you just didn't see a lot of Black healthcare professionals. And that's across the board. I'm not just talking about nursing. I'm talking about any type of healthcare professional, physicians, respiratory therapists, whatever it is. I'm only 33. I like to say I'm still young, but when I was little, I didn't see a lot of Black healthcare professionals. So it's very important because we literally have to show the world, like, okay, we've gone through whatever we've gone through. Our ancestors may have gone through it, but we are more than capable of being at the top, being better than the rest, making money, creating wealth, whatever it may be. We have to be the ones that go a little further. And to be honest with you, not only as Black professionals do we have to go a little further than the rest and work a little harder. The majority of nursing is women. So as Black women in healthcare, then we even have to take it up another notch that maybe others don't have to. And so that's always my goal. Is I don't really compete with others. I really compete with myself, because I'm thinking, how can I be better than what I did the last time? The last thing I did, what can I do to bring that to the next level?
Gotcha. So let's switch a little bit into entrepreneurship. What is the difference for you between employee mindset and entrepreneur mindset? Because it's just two different things, right?
It's totally two different worlds. Totally. So I would say, in order to be a great entrepreneur, you have to be a great leader. And in order to be a great leader, you at some point have to have been a great employee. And I say that, so a lot of people want to rush into being an entrepreneur. I want to be my own boss. I want to run my own business. But can your supervisor trust you with daily tasks? Are you responsible on the job that you have now? Can they trust you to come in on time and leave on time and not before your shift ends? Do your coworkers, do your colleagues look to you as an example and a leader? So that's the mindset you want to have as an employee. And because of that, you take that mindset and then you shift it over into entrepreneurship. And it shows that you have those abilities and those qualities to run a business. Because if you're talking about being an entrepreneur and making millions and multi-million dollars and six figures, then how are you going to properly manage that if you didn't properly manage your time?
Yeah.
And how are you going to properly manage your own business finances when you don't respect your employer's time and the time that they pay you and the money they pay you for your time. How are your employees going to look up to you and going to respect you as a leader if colleagues and coworkers can't trust you? I'm
Mhm.
just, to just be honest. So I feel like even though the roles are very different, you still the mindset is similar. Is that you not only do we want to be the best employee, we want employee of the month, we want nurse of the year or whatever it may be, but you have to be able to strive for that and then say, okay, well, I'm ready to move into entrepreneurship because I did the best I could as an employee, and I'm going to put that same effort into being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Did you get any entrepreneurship training throughout your nursing schooling? Did they have any classes or anything?
Absolutely not. No. Like
So,
business or entrepreneurship wasn't, not at all.
so I know earlier you said that entrepreneurship did kind of fall in your lap. So what brought you to that point?
It like well, before we came on, it was really God that put it in me. I had no idea of I would be starting my own practice and then launching an organization to help nurses become entrepreneurs. That wasn't something when I went into nursing school, not even when I went for my master's, that I really truly thought about. But I think it was around the time that I was getting my master's, and close to the time that I was graduating. And then I started exploring the idea of owning my own practice. Of course, I wanted the experience as working as a nurse practitioner, and I've worked various places as a nurse practitioner, but I think that seeing the ins and out of different types of healthcare facilities has really helped me to build my practice. I've worked
Yeah.
everywhere from outpatient. I've worked in assisted living facilities. I've worked in nursing homes. I've worked as a hospitalist. So I pretty much almost have seen every different aspect of being a provider. And
Mhm.
so therefore, when it came to time for me to start my practice, I didn't struggle with whether I was good enough or if I had enough experience, or was it something I really could do. My struggle was like, where do I find this information to get this thing started? And
Yep.
so once I said to myself, this is something I'm going to do, then, and I really took action, that's where I felt like God was opening doors for me, and He was leading me to the right people and leading me to the right resources. And like literally, it was like literally one day I said, I am going to start this thing. And I literally started, I launched, I advertised myself. I did marketing. I got patients. And then I was like, oh, this is really happening.
Yeah.
And that was started, I was doing house calls. And that lasted a couple months. And I was like, I think I need an office. And then I got an office. And so it just spiraled from there. And it just continued to grow and increase and expand, and to where now I'm just like amazed at what God has done so far in my life through, the businesses and everything that, I've been doing so far.
Yeah, definitely. Good. I'm glad that you launched it. And I'm not always only happy that we are launching businesses, but I always believe that us as Black nurse entrepreneurs have to be very strategic and intentional about what we launch, for a few reasons, because business is a little bit different for our community. You know what I
Uh,
mean? Sometimes we just, like we said earlier, don't see providers that look like us. And
right.
who better to be able to tell our story or to be able to care for us than us, people who have gone through the culture and understand the things that plague us specifically. And so,
Mhm.
I remember a couple of months ago, when Rashan and I were speaking, and she was talking about opening up home health in the community. It's just so important for us to be able to provide our communities based upon our expertise, based upon our skill set, to
Right.
provide a good, trusted place where they can come. They know that they're going to get correct information. They know that they're going to be treated morally and ethically, but also to just have that representation is so crucial. Would you agree
Absolutely.
with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, in 2021, should we still be having these conversations? No, I don't think so. We should. But the truth of the matter is that we still are. And so we still have to push forward. And the thing is, I'm all about doing things with integrity and with excellence. And so I feel like, again, I said it before and I'll say it again, as not just as Black healthcare professionals, but as Black female healthcare professionals, we just have to take it all the way further than the rest. We literally have to strive to be better than the rest in order for us to represent not only our profession well, but us as a ethnic group well. And even in our communities where we still see the mortality rates of so many things, and why are the Blacks still on the top of the list for you know maternal health problems and chronic cardiovascular disease?
Mhm.
And why is that? Is it because we all just are unhealthy? No, it's because there's not enough providers, there's not enough education in the communities. And sometimes, and the truth is, patients will tend to gravitate more to people who they can physically identify with
Right.
than people they don't. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with using what you have, your attributes, using who you are to reach your community.
Gotcha. What would you say? We have a lot of nurse practitioners here in our community that don't have a private practice, and that's probably one of the top questions I get asked is about
Mhm.
opening up a private practice. But some of them come with some just hesitancy for a few reasons. They don't know where to go for resources.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they are scared or skeptical, maybe because of funding,
Right.
or and sometimes it's honestly the lack of the seeing the example of what
Right.
can be done. I just simply haven't seen what I can do with my
Right.
degree. But I think one of the other things is a lot of people are hesitant because of they're in a state where it lacks full authority. And so, what do you say to those people that you're helping to maybe consult with or coach with to help them to open up their practice? What are some of the things that you tell them?
So firstly, I always start with, what is it that you want? And then using that, it determines what are they willing to do, or what are you willing to sacrifice to see this really come to life. And so that's always the start of the conversation. What is your dream? I always talk about, when I first schedule a call with any potential client, what are your goals? Tell me about what you envision. We start there. And then, of course, there's a lot of misconceptions about starting a practice as a nurse practitioner. And one thing I always tell all my clients, I'm going to give you what I know. And then, of course, you take that information, you do your research, you talk to an attorney, whatever you need to do. But there's a misconception that if you're a nurse practitioner, you can't open up a practice, a medical or healthcare practice, whatever terminology you want to use. Now, there are some states that have some specific guidelines. I will say guidelines. I'm not going to say that they say you can't open a practice. There are some states that have some guidelines that you have to follow.
Mhm.
But a lot of the times I am clearing up a lot of misconceptions with nurse practitioners, because they seem to feel like there's a connection between owning a business and being a nurse practitioner. And I just tell them that this is the best way to explain to them. You're a nurse practitioner who happens to be starting a business. The two don't determine the other, because you can open that business and you could never see a patient in that practice. You can hire other nurse practitioners if you so desire. So that's a misconception I'm always clearing up with a lot of nurse practitioners. I get tons of messages daily, and probably the messages that always stick out to me is, how did you open a practice as a nurse practitioner? Or are you even allowed to do that? And so again, I tell them, you have to know what your state laws say. If you're practicing and you don't even know what your scope of practice, the statutes of limitations are for your state, that's dangerous to me. And so I'm always having to tell nurse practitioners, be familiar with your board of nursing laws, guidelines, statutes. Know that first, because if you go into this just scared and thinking you're doing something illegal, you're just gonna give up, because you're just always gonna have that fear and that doubt in the back of your mind. So that's definitely something I always tell my clients is you have to do the research. You have to know your state laws. You have to be familiar with your scope of practice. What does your board of nursing say about your scope of practice? What does your state say about starting a healthcare facility? If there's guidelines, take those guidelines and follow the guidelines. It's literally that simple. If they say do ABC, then do ABC and follow the guidelines. Don't take any shortcuts. Don't try to, find loopholes. I'm in other Facebook groups, and it's amazing how people risk their license and their freedom to find loopholes. And I'm like, no, don't take any loopholes. If you don't understand, call that department, call that agency, ask them a question, get it in writing, and just be confident in what you're doing, but also do it right. Do it with the right legal advice, whatever you need. So I'm all about doing things as a team. When I have my clients consult with me, I never pretend to know it all. So I always refer to my affiliates or whoever, whether it be an attorney or an accountant or graphic design or marketing, whatever it is, because when you're starting a business, when you're building a business, in order to see that business scale and grow, you're going to have a team. And so because I am all about growth and scaling, I have a team. And so therefore, I'm not going to pretend that I'm a one-woman show and that when you come to me, I'm just going to give it to you all. No. I'm going to refer you here. You need to call this. You need to talk to them. You need to send this email. You need to fill out this form, because I'm all about doing things not just right, but making sure that you do it to succeed for long-term success.
Yes, good. That's excellent advice. So how about the COVID season? Yeah, I know. Right. It's a whole nother episode, right?
Yeah.
I want to know, what type of advice do you give to the nurse practitioner interested in starting his or her practice during this season?
I say you should, to be honest, I would be like, you should have started last year during the heat of the season. But nonetheless, this is still a good time, because I said this a lot last year, and what I said is that this is a time where people are probably more conscious about their health more than ever. And it's not just more people are more conscious about, God forbid, they can contract COVID-19. I said this season, this pandemic has opened a lot of people's eyes to their overall health status. Because look, the truth is, the more comorbidities you have, the more you're at risk for any condition. We're not just talking COVID-19. Flu is still a thing. Cancer is still a thing. All these diseases are still issues that need to be addressed. And so therefore, as healthcare providers, we have to be the one to address them. Well, if people can't find you, how can they get their problems addressed? You have to be willing to be found and say, if you see these problems out there, then why aren't you taking the step to be the one to address them? A lot of my clients, I would say all of my clients, start their practice is because they saw a problem that was in their employment that was not being addressed. And so what they did was they took that issue and they decided to build a practice, start a practice off of that alone. My thing was, I saw that there wasn't a lot of healthcare options for people who did not have health insurance. It was either they were using the ER incorrectly, or they were just going to the urgent care for the simplest things, or they weren't seeking health care at all. So therefore, I decided, you know what, I'm going to take this model of direct primary care. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing professionals. We're not talking about, people in low income communities. I'm talking about professionals, people who are entrepreneurs who don't have health insurance and they're not getting health care. So why not create a practice based on a model where everyone pays a monthly fee? Doesn't matter, what problem you have going on. It doesn't matter how much you need to see me. Pay one monthly fee, come in, get your blood work, get your exams. You don't have to worry about the middleman, the insurance companies, and I'll see you anyway. And that's what I built my practice off, because that was the problem I saw. So I would say to those who want to start their practice in this season, what is the problem that you're seeing that's not being addressed? And don't feel like because you see that, well, there's 10 other health, primary care offices in your neighborhood, that what's the point of you starting a primary care office? I say to those people, I want you to go to the supermarket, go down the bread aisle, and ask yourself, do all those companies care that the company next to them started a bread company and they're selling bread in the same supermarket? Because it doesn't matter. Because if you like Wonder and I like my expensive organic whole wheat bread, it doesn't matter, because Wonder serves you and the company I buy bread from serves me. So I'm going to serve someone, and then the provider down the street is going to serve a whole different type of patient. So you don't want to worry about who's doing what. You just want to focus on what you are called and destined to do. Let's just start there, because a lot of times people are sitting on ideas that these are God-given ideas. God has implanted them into them and they're not moving. So you know what's going to end up happening? And now I feel like I'm preaching, so forgive me. God take that idea, he's going to give it to someone else, and then they're going to run with it, and you're going to actually be able to watch and see them. And you're going to be like, wow, I had that idea. So
yeah, I talk about the bread example oftentimes, and I think about this too. Not only I go in and I want Mrs. Baird's thin, fresh, whatever that week, but next week I may want Texas toast.
Right.
Or the week after, I may want cinnamon raisin.
Exactly.
There are also reasons why we pick specific things during that season as well, during that time as well. And so we have to understand that when you've been fearfully and wonderfully made, then that gives you that nice little individuality that nobody else can steal from you. And I always tell people, I say, look, I need you to start this business and go be great, because I'm getting old, honey. I might need a private care practitioner that looks like me, and I may need to come see you. So I need you to go ahead and start this business, because I might need your services one day.
Exactly.
And when you don't start it, I flip it on people. I say, think about this. When you don't start what you've been called to do, how many people are impacted by you not doing that thing?
Right.
So you think about being on the floor and how many patients we have on a day-to-day basis, and how many patients that we've maybe touched over the career of our nursing.
Right.
Usually as a practitioner, you can have a even bigger, larger reach.
Exactly.
On your own terms.
Yep.
But if you don't follow whatever that business, if you do not launch it, then a lot of people may possibly be affected by that, and it may not be in a positive way.
Exactly.
So it is imperative for us to continue to push and motivate. One thing too, I would like to say is that I did a interview with Victoria Randall and Natasha Welsh about a little more than a year ago. And the title of it was Being the Example. And I stand by this. I firmly stand by this, because it is important for us, especially Black men and women, to see what the example looks like. When you can kind of see what an example looks like, then you can say, oh, I had that idea and I wanted to start this, but boom, I now see somebody that is the example who is
Yes,
successfully doing exactly what I was wanting to do. So it's
absolutely.
imperative for the people who are successful in this
Right.
community, who have launched their businesses, who are in private practice, it is imperative for you guys to come to the forefront, because I got
I
a
agree.
whole nother group of people who are
Exactly.
interested and they don't have a clue. And so
Right.
I'm like, hey, go look at Jessica. Look what she did. She came
Exactly.
from here, she moved to there, she launched this, she got this degree, she's doing good, she's being successful. It is
Yes.
important for us to see exactly. And it's important not only for us to see the example, but for us to see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh,
Because
yes.
one thing about entrepreneurship, you correct me if I'm wrong, there are some long days and nights. There's some stuff that goes on behind the scenes that nobody ever knows anything about.
No, and there's been days where I said, not so much right now, but in the beginning, there was times where I said, I don't think I don't think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. There were times that you're building, and then all of a sudden you're building. It's like a Jenga puzzle. Like you're putting on top, and then someone comes and takes out that one piece, and then everything falls down, and you're like,
Yes,
"Well, wait a minute, you just
yes.
building like." Why would and that's what those outside influences that we don't have any control over. That's what happens.
Mhm.
And what do? You just take your little pieces and start building again. I say, okay, I'm gonna get over it. And you start building and building and building again. And so there definitely, I mean, even now, even though I'm growing in a totally different way now, there's days where I'm like, I feel like I'm not making any progress. From the outside looking in, it looks like, man, she is killing it. And
Mhm.
yes, that may be true, but to me, there's certain things that I want done. And so today's Monday, and I haven't been able to check off those task items yet. Look, now it's going to fall into Tuesday, and then
Yeah.
on top of everything I'm supposed to handle the next day, and then everything falls on you as an entrepreneur. So I tell people that this is not for the faint at heart.
No.
This, you have to build a lot of grit, and you got to get some strength. You might want to reevaluate your relationship with the Lord, because this is not something you could just do on your own. I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't think that you're just going to do this thing and it's just going to be peaches and cream. Nope.
Mm-mm. It's
Some
not.
days it's gonna be like, you're gonna be like, forget this. You're gonna be on Indeed.com looking for a job, because you're gonna say you're not doing this anymore.
Mhm. It's true. It is true. But I always too, I liken it to nursing school. And
Mhm.
this is one of the reasons why I do like to work with nurses, because I speak the language, right? And I
Right,
say, look, you didn't give up with nursing school.
right.
We all know it's hard as hell. And there's
It's
some long nights and some long
man,
days.
that was some real tears.
That
Nurses
was
school
rough.
was rough, okay?
That was
Rough.
rough. There are times in entrepreneurship where it's going to be a tad difficult.
Yes,
However, I think too, I think about we got through nursing school, we didn't
right.
all make straight A's all the way through. There were those pitfalls. And I always say, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen in nursing school. I've dealt with deaths and divorces and illness and all sorts of things through nursing school, but
Mhm.
that translates over into entrepreneurship world as well. And honestly, these things are a trick of the enemy to kick us, to throw us off of our path. Or you could also look at it as ways that God is preparing you and building you to be
Absolutely.
stronger, to be
Absolutely.
stronger. You know what I mean? So, I would suggest that people, when those times come, that they think about the type of determination that it took to get through nursing school.
Right.
So I would ask you, what is your why that helps you when those difficult days pop up? What is that thing that helps to push you along?
Honestly, it my why is what God has called me to do. And so this is business for me, entrepreneurship. It's not just, about making money
Mhm.
and becoming wealthy. It really is a ministry. There's people that come in my office that God ordained me to reach them. And when I say minister, it's not like I'm sitting and I'm preaching to patients as they walk in the door. Ministering in the realm of just ministering through healing, ministering through helping. There's people that come through my doors where they're like, they couldn't find help anywhere else. They've gone to this doctor, that doctor. No one. I have patients that say just, oh, thank you for taking the time. I'm thinking like, well, it's just 30 minutes. But I have to realize like that is foreign in some medical offices for someone to sit down 30, 45 minutes, an hour with the patient and talking. So to me, that is ministry. And not only that, for me to now take it to another level and say, well, I'm not just going to be successful on my own. I'm going to help other nurses and other nurse practitioners become successful. I'm going to help them realize their potential. I'm going to help them start their business. I'm going to help them create streams of income for themselves. That's we're talking a whole another level. So I am grateful for my faith, my relationship with the Lord, and that I don't do anything without seeking Him first. That is my why, is that I want to please, like, Lord, how can I please you? Does this please you? I posted something on Facebook the other day about my pastor talking about connections. And he was talking about business connections, personal connections, professional connections are so important because they can either bring you to another level or they could bring you down all the way and destroy what you've built. And so I'm all about making the right connections and making sure I'm connecting with the right people, because I truly want to see people do well. I truly want to see people succeed. I want to see patients get the care and the education that they need to better themselves. And so I would say I have a lot of whys. That's my main why. And of course, another why, if I'm going to keep it real, is I want financial freedom. I wasn't even, my first job out of nurse practitioner NP school, I wasn't even making six figures. And when I look back now, I'm like, that is absolutely crazy. But I took that position, and had I not taken that position, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. So yes, financial freedom, debt freedom, multiple streams of income. I want to be able to take care of, people around me in a positive impact, and be able to give and it not hurt my pockets. And God has blessed me to where He has brought me to a place where that is coming to pass. So those are my whys. And I'm just honestly, I'm living a dream. I'm really blessed. I'm living a dream that I thought about a couple years ago. And I just didn't see it. But as I said, as I took action and I took those steps, God has opened so many doors along the way.
Perfect. Beautifully said. We're right here towards the end. I'll give you the opportunity to give your last and final thought to the nurses that are listening in our community. What would you say to them?
I would say you just take action. I'm saying that again because I really feel like that is where a lot of nursing professionals are feeling stuck, is that they're not taking action. And it's not necessarily because they don't want to. We are just, the way we're educated to be the support, the help. We're not necessarily educated to take, those leadership steps. But if I could just say to anyone listening that will listen, is to take action. You take action, take a step. You have to take that first step. And even if you do it scared, just do it anyway. Do it scared. Even if you say, I don't have enough money, do it broke. I don't have enough for support, do it alone. Just take that step, and trust me, you will regret a year, 5 years, 10 years from now saying, I didn't even try, versus a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, you're saying, I tried it and it worked, or I tried it, it didn't work out the way I wanted. So I could just say, don't live life in those regrets. Just take action, take those steps.
take action, take those steps.
Yeah.
So I thank you. I love your personality. I love your spirit, and I'm so thankful that you've joined us. I hope
Yes,
that we see more of you around.
absolutely. Thank you.
But for those people who are interested in launching their private practice, I feel like you're an excellent resource for them. So all of your information will be in our biography section, as well as the B&E information. So I want to encourage people to make sure that this will be um, uploaded to our podcast. So make sure that you're sharing it with your colleagues or your communities and things, because I want to make sure that we're getting as the Black nurse community, we're
Mhm.
getting our name out. We are a
Absolutely.
force to be reckoned with. And so
Absolutely.
it is very important that we demand our seat at that table, or we create that table for ourselves.
Absolutely.
So like I said, all of our information is in the biography section, and make sure that you just follow us across all of our social media platforms. Dr. Jessica, her information will be there as well. And I always like to remind everybody that we do not follow trends, but we set them. So we are the trend.
Absolutely.
So that is our time for today.
Thank
And hey,
you.
one last thing I'll say is make sure that you join us on this Wednesday, March the 31st, because we will have a little celebration with the BD Elite, just celebrating Women's History Month. So make sure that you join us for that as well. So thank you, Dr. Jessica Chung. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good evening. I guess we're at the end of the we're afternoon evening time. So good
Afternoon.
evening, good afternoon to everybody. Bye.
Bye.